All right, let's talk about something that's quite possibly reshaping the industry. I know those are big words. That's a little, taking a big shot right out. But promo, print, apparel, are they still separate businesses or are we just pretending they are? And today I'm fired up because I'm joined by Tom Rector, CEO of Thumbprint. And it's my hope that while we talk about this, we're going to be digging into what's blending, what's actually happening, and what it looks like inside of a modern agency, somebody that's got the pulse of what is happening right now. So I want to talk about things like intentional sales processes, why reactive selling may not cut it anymore, and whether this whole push for immersive marketing or experiential marketing, those are both buzzwords, or live activations. Is this truly giving us an ROI and building the loyalty? Or Tom, is this maybe just making for good Instagram posts? I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
or is it a niche? Yeah,
Is it that niche? So Tom,
yeah,
you've been building in this space while the rest of us debate it, while the rest of us have these, podcasts. So let's dig in. I can't wait
yeah.
to
I'd
get
love
your
to.
take
Yeah,
on it.
thanks for having me, Jay.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So, as you navigate through this shift in real time, as you think about print, promo, and apparel, what just on the surface level, do you see a blending? Are you seeing the key buzzword convergence happening, or has it always been happening? What's your take?
I think at some level it always has been happening. It's the print piece of that equation that is the most difficult. Because when you think of promo products and you think of screen printed and embroidered apparel products and all the other embellishments that you can do with them, the print one is kind of like the misfit toys.
Mm.
It is the one that doesn't just have a menu that you can look at and have a pricing matrix and easily identify, hey, this is what the customer needs and here's all the details and I can quickly generate a quote. It's much more custom on the print side
Okay.
because
Okay.
because you're looking at like different types of paper and different sizes of paper and different ways to print them, and is it on offset printing, is it on digital printing, and and what's the quantity, and all of these things that go in with the print side you just can't like open a catalog and quickly
Ah,
be able to
well,
identify this is
yeah.
exactly what my customer is looking for and my customer needs. So that's what makes it a little bit difficult to be grouped in with print and promo.
I
But
love
I
that.
but I
Love
will
that.
say from the customer's perspective, those those three things all live in the same environment. They all mutually exclusive. Like the customer that needs promo and needs apparel items also needs print items. So
Yeah,
it does live there.
that's that. Okay, thank you for that because I think that's a good baseline to build on. That's a great foundation. I think that has been my perspective. 1,000 years ago when I was actively selling, I did sell some print. I did have clients asking me about packaging or asking me for every little things, obvious low hanging fruit, business cards, letterhead, etc. But then moving up the scale, and I love what you said. It's not like there's just a checkbox where you're going to, send this over and have your client say, yes, I need A, B, C, D, and E. And now I'm in the print business, or now I provide, this, brochures, or I can do packaging, or I can do point of purchase, or I can do these things that are a little bit more specialty. But what does that look like at Thumbprint? Like, so I know you have a strong apparel decoration background, the screen printing and the embroidery, but you've gone through an acquisition, and this has maybe changed your perspective, or did it cement and lock in your perspective?
It definitely it changed our perspective for
Okay.
sure, because the acquisition that we made was much heavier on the print side.
Okay.
So
Okay.
a lot of things were set up, and I think where we've seen a lot of success with it is putting it into programs where it is repeatable business.
Mm.
And I can get once you get the print piece set up, it's just a reorder after reorder after reorder, because they're typically things that customers need multiple times,
Okay.
at least from the things that we're doing. So I'm talking like brochures and menus, and the print comes in like a million different types of forms. So like the little pieces of paper that go on the plastic stick that they stick in your yard after they spray it with fertilizer. from a
Oh, okay.
landscaping
Yeah,
company.
there
You
you
know,
go.
like all of
Right.
those types of things fall within that category. So it's a very broad product base. But there are things that become more essential to the customer's business. So you're not necessarily like a an expense on the budget. You're more
Yep.
part of the operation when you get into the print side of it, because there
Why
are
is
things that
that? That's
become
so
much more
interesting. That's
commercial.
so interesting that you see that from the level of the buyer. The clients think that print is more operational, and
Oh
so
yes, absolutely,
okay,
absolutely. Because we're talking like things like the deposit slips at a bank, right? If they don't have those types of things, their business starts to struggle on how they actually operate their business. So you
yeah.
become much more crucial to the
Wait, so what
success.
you're saying is in Indianapolis, people still go into a bank and still fill out a form?
Yes, as many times as we don't want to, we do.
I get it. I get it. I no, no, it's real. It's the reality of as much as we want a paperless society, and as much as people have said, "Oh, print's dying," I think that that's a little much of that's a little rhetoric. That's big. Maybe print is evolving, and so really at the core of our conversation today, and I was so excited to have you on, was to say, well, does the on ramp to one lead to the other? In other words, if you have a business that looks like yours, it looks like Thumbprint, is there an intentional process maybe that we're going to talk print on Tuesdays, but we're going to talk promo on Thursdays? Or, that's a terrible example, but you know what I
No,
mean?
I
Where
understand. Yeah,
one is leading the other, or one conversation opens the door to the next. Is that
yeah,
make sense?
and it somewhat depends on the buyer, on the customer
For
side.
sure.
Um, the Typically it's the same customer, it's the same buyer is purchasing the promo and the apparel as the print.
Okay.
Typically they all live in that same ecosystem, and when that's the case, then the conversation is really is which we hopefully we'll get into the sales process part as well, is like
Yeah.
it's qualifying what is it that the customer actually needs, like what are their strategic goals, what are they trying to accomplish. And then I go to the product base and it's like, all right, here are the things that I can do that will help accomplish whatever objectives that you have. And typically it's the same buyer, but when it's not, then we separate the conversation. Then it's like, okay, I need to stay focused on, okay, this, if it's HR person or something and they're doing business forms for applications or something like that, then it's like, okay, I need to stay specific to that. I'm not gonna try to go into client gifting with
Yeah.
them, knowing
Yeah.
where their standards are.
Well, that makes
Um,
sense, and that's a great segue to how do you help position this? Because I think I'm just outsider looking in. It seems like Thumbprint has an advantage because you are able to have those discussions of promo and print and apparel, that you are well versed in those, and so let's say that's a given. You might argue on any given day that you're like, Jay, I wish we could just stick to fill in the blank. I understand that, but at the same time, it seems to me that it is an advantage, and if so, that you've done this by design. And when things are built by design, like a process, like specifically a sales process, what does that look like? You don't have to share the secret sauce, but Tom, what can you tell us or teach us about how to how to navigate that process?
yeah, I think the first thing that you have to really recognize when you talk about the sales process is there's technically two processes that are living at the same time. The buyer has a buyer's process that they're also following, and that buyer's process is different than the seller's selling process.
Okay.
And you need to keep that in mind, because that typically when we see, we call them order takers in our industry. So when we have order takers, the order takers are typically living in the buyer's buying process. The buyer's coming to them and they're basically dictating what they want. There's no there's no discovery, there's no qualifying, there's no trying to understand the budget and understand how the decision making process is coming. They're just coming to them, hey, here's what I want, please go provide me these
Right.
XYZ things.
Very
And
transactional.
they're controlling the conversation, they're controlling the narrative, and they're the ones that are driving the process. It's the buyer's buying process, and they don't line up. Where that buyer's buying process and the seller's process is always trying to take it back control, and you do that by asking the right types of questions. And you have to take control. And it's not like take control over, I'm just going to steamroll you and you're just going to
No,
do what
no,
I say.
not at all.
It's not like a very high pressured selling thing, but it's more of a curiosity approach. It's like, I need to understand what you're trying to accomplish and where we're trying to go with this. I understand that you say you want pins and keychains, but tell me what's the experience that you're trying to create, and what's the strategic goals that you're trying to accomplish by doing these types of things, because it might be right, or there might be other options that I might be able to help you
Hmm.
get a little bit further. But as you need to understand the budget, I need to understand.
Hmm.
Understand like where we follow the Sandler method, but it's what's the pain point? What's the problem we're trying to solve here? Because if you don't have that problem, really nothing's really actually going to do the job for you.
Yeah,
So,
great.
but what we find when we're talking about print and promo together
Hmm.
is that the print side is much more technical and it's a lot harder because there's no menu, right? So it's harder for them to really understand what it is exactly that they need. So it's easier for you to get into the seller selling process because the customer isn't able to just come and say, "Hey, I want business cards." Okay, I business cards is a juggernaut of questions. Okay, what size paper would you like? Like, do you want that with a spot print? Do you want that digital print? Do you want full bleed? Do you want all of these things now start to have? I have to understand before I can even get you a quote on business
Right.
cards. But while
Right.
that is going on, I can now also understand. Okay, is business cards even the right thing? Is a digital business card, or do you want QR codes? Is there something we can do on a digital front that might make a little bit more sense? So that process then starts to come into the picture. And at Thumbprint, when we're talking about the seller selling process, product isn't even in the equation. Like that's the last thing that we even go to because I don't
Wow.
really know what to sell until I understand what we're trying to solve for.
Great point. Great point. I think it's a total Seth Godin ripoff, but somewhere along the line, I've been saying for the last 10 years, we solve problems like this, fill in the blank, for people like you, fill in the blank,
Yes. Yes.
using branded merchandise or
Right.
fill in the blank, print,
Yep.
promo, or apparel. We solve problems like employee retention for people like you, HR director, using new employee hire kits.
Right. Right.
And
Right.
yeah, I think that I love how you position that though about asking all those great questions ahead of time. While I think that's normal and natural for a lot of folks, it sounds like you have more of a process built. So if you have, I'm guessing we didn't talk about this before, but you have sales reps that are out on the streets, so to speak, and are
Yes.
they print specific or are they promo specific or are they kind of like hybrids?
Yeah, that's a really great question. In our setup, and I think in the promotional product world too, like we toss around the term sales rep, and it has lots of different meanings,
Correct.
right?
Fair,
Some
fair.
some 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 folks consider them sales reps, and they're actually just account managers that are just they're
Yep.
placing orders on um, existing accounts and things like that. So we separate that
Okay.
within our
Okay.
organization. So we have true sales reps that are out hunting new business, looking for new opportunities, and then we have true account teams and their account directors and account managers that are actually working with existing customers. They're writing orders, they're uncovering
Gotcha.
opportunities.
Gotcha.
And they all know print at some level, um,
Okay.
but we do have some experts in print, and that's where we really help it out. Is that our people know enough about print to uncover the opportunity, and then if it gets very complex or if there's some very nuanced types things, then we'll pull in our experts to do a deeper discovery as like, oh, here's how this actually works, here's what is capable of doing with XYZ of what you're trying to accomplish.
Gotcha.
So we'll
That's
pull in those experts, and eventually, just over time, you learn it,
yeah,
people
right.
pick up on
Asking those
it.
questions and having those discovery meetings and then being like, oh, okay, and then bringing in the expert, they're also learning at the same time.
Yes, yeah, and the same is on the technical side. Like we have, I mean, hundreds of e-commerce stores and company stores, and I mean, print on demand gets very
Mm-hmm.
complex, and integrations and SSOs. Like those are just things that we can teach you, but you have to experience them to truly understand the complexities that go into it. And our team is good enough to get going, to ask the questions, to uncover and understand what the customer's trying to do and knows what direction they're trying to go. And if they start to hit roadblocks, then we just have enough support where we can come in and help them out, so they're just not left,
Right.
floating in the wind.
It's like you and I'm gonna. You look very much younger than me, so, and I'm not just. But I'm gonna guess we're close as peers in age, right? We're both in our mid 40s, right? Isn't that about right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I remember my dad telling stories about, "Hey, here's the phone book, son. Good luck."
Yeah.
Kind of a. And now today,
My grandpa used to tell me he was a life insurance salesman. I mean, back in the day, and he just had done it long enough. He knew exactly how many doors he needed to knock on in order to hit his quota for the day.
it's just a system. They got it
Yeah,
into a system where that standard operating procedure was real, and it systematized it. And they knew, I just have to get 12 no's and the 13th is a yes, or that's my average, or whatever that is. I know it's so hard for us to really process that today, because we're going to say, well, I just want to email them, or I'm going to just DM them first, or I'm going to build a mock company store so that they fall in love and emotionally can't say no anymore. And maybe there's somebody that's doing really well with that. I'm not discounting that. That could be a great prospecting tool, but
I think what the difference is from now back from then is just the access to information.
yes,
Because there's that when we talk about the seller's selling process, there's like when we say, "Oh, I'm a salesperson," there's always that persona that you have in the back of your mind, that used car salesman with
yeah,
the leisure suit on, that's kind of like savvy and knows just the right thing to say. And that really doesn't exist anymore, because the access to information allows the buyer to be more informed. So
right.
they may not know as much as the person that's selling the product, but they have the ability to get a lot of information to know that they aren't going to get taken advantage of. And that has always been the case. And that's why people are so fearful of salespeople, is like they always feel like someone's going to take advantage of them. But now that
Yeah,
they have the ability to do their own research and their own homework, they're
right.
protecting themselves.
And it's like we end up feeling the feelings are real, even with AI giving us more information and more analysis and more data than ever before. But we still, at the end of the day, we want to trust. So, AI I heard a line today from a friend that says AI has a IQ of 150 plus plus, right? But it has an EQ of zero. It has
Yeah.
no
Yes.
emotional trust to connect it with. So you can be the smartest guy on the block, but what I really want to do is I want to talk to my friend Tom, because Tom's
Yeah.
walked the walk and maybe he's got some insight for me.
Yep. Which is the very first phase of the sales process, is bonding and rapport. And it might be the most important phase that gets overlooked so easily. Is like, I have to build a connection. I have to build a relationship. I have to understand who you are as a person before I can really do anything
Right.
else.
So true. What are some of the other steps that you use personally, or that you and your team at Thumbprint use? What are some of those? You don't have to go through the whole Sandler process, but what are some of the steps besides rapport and building that rapport that are often brought up, or that you think are noteworthy for our conversation today?
Yeah. So on the bonding and rapport side, we actually build it into like our company ethos. We are the account team is the face of Thumbprint to the customer, but we also have a very strong operations team. There's customer service people. We do our own fulfillment. We have warehouses where we're fulfilling product and storing product in a couple locations. And we have a technology team, our accounting team. And so we build into the ethos that those people are actually more powerful on the bonding and rapport piece than the sales and account teams, because
Okay.
when they reach out and they say thank you, or they get involved into solving a problem or helping with an order or going that extra mile, it means so much more to the customer, because
That's
they're not expected to have that type of relationship. So we try to find opportunities for them to do that. So the easiest one is like they're all encouraged to write thank you notes and to send thank you emails, because the business of that customer is also helping them do the
Yes,
things that they want
yes.
to do in their life, as part of being a part of our team. And then when they're whether it's uh, just a simple follow up after something happens is like, hey, I just want to let you know that I saw this thinking from fulfillment. Just let you know, I saw this order that went out. I expedited it for you because I wasn't sure I was going to make it on time. So we call in our organization the 7-star experience, because when you look at like in general ratings for technology things like Uber ratings and
Right.
Google ratings, they all go up to 5 stars. It's like when you do 5 stars, you've done everything that you're supposed to do. So we look at it and we say, okay, if 5 stars is like this is the expectation, what
Right.
does it take to go beyond that? What does it take to get a 6 star? What would it take to get a 7 star?
Ah,
And
that's
that's
a
where we
great
really want
question.
our team to live. Is like
I
we
think
want
that's
to go
brilliant.
and do the things that are unexpected of us that mean something. We call it storytelling land in our organization. We want to give the customer a reason to tell a story of how we've done something that was above and beyond what we were supposed to be doing.
Your team did such an outstanding, brilliant job that now there's a story being told about thumbprint because
Yes. And
brilliant.
and those are the things that mean so they're the most memorable things that the customer can experience, because they can get the product, it can be exactly what they want, but that's what they expected to get.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
But when they
and truth be told, let's just for a second, let's go to Scary Town. Truth be told, in some ways, someone could have bypassed, they would never do this to thumbprint, I know, but somebody could have found what they thought they needed and ordered it online without ever really talking to a human. And like you said, product shows up on the date that they said it would, the print is right, and carry on, move about.
yeah,
Transaction complete. But I love how you've reframed this. Like that's the 5 star experience. Now, when you're ready for a sixth or a seventh, come talk to us at
yeah,
Thumbprint
yeah,
because
let
we're
me
going
know.
to blow you
We
away.
got you. Yeah.
Ah, dude, such good insights there. So glad you shared that. Before we move to the next question, anything else on the sales process that you want to highlight that you want to talk about?
I think the on the sales process side, I think what they try to teach you in school is just wrong. I went through
Imagine that.
college. I was a business administration major and had got my master's degree, and they teach you like you have to overcome objections and you have to do XYZ, right? And it's like I just feel like that is wrong. Like the real selling process is it's connections, and it's asking right questions, and it's uncovering the important things. And if you do all of those steps in the right order and you fully complete all of the stages, there should be no question at the end of the day. Like closing the deal is the easiest part of the process, because it's like we've already solved and understood as a team, me and the customer as a
Yeah,
team, we've already
right.
tried to understand together what we're trying to accomplish. So when we come to present the product and it's like, hey, here's how we're going to solve this problem. Here's what we're going to do. Here's all of the expectations that we're going to commit ourselves to. It's like the deal's done before you even get
Yeah, now
to
it's
the
just
end.
the transactional side that actually just is the normal outcome. It's what should happen. It's the next step. We
Yes.
start talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Well, listen, it sounds like you've got a great team and a great system, and I think that that is a gift and it's rare, and so that's why it's so fun to have this conversation with you. But I'm not going to let you off the hook until we talk about immersive marketing or
Yes.
experiential marketing or live printing or activations or print on demand. And there's all these buzzwords that start swirling around, whatever you call it. Do you guys, do you gals, does your team, the thumbprint team, do you have these kinds of events with your clients where you're having the hat bar or having the tote bag bar or something of that kind and flavor?
Oh yeah, it's the rage right now.
Yeah.
It's definitely the rage. And what's funny though is I would say for the last, I'm going to age myself here, but at least for the last 15 years, we've been doing that. We've been doing on site heat press
Press activation.
transfers and
Yeah.
putting them on shirts and hats and all of these things. We just weren't smart enough to call it a hat bar or a t-shirt bar.
Right, right, right. No, but you were smart enough to be early on and provide the experience. So give yourself massive credit. Were you ever screen printing on site, like actual pull the squeegee?
No, we didn't get to that depth. It's
Okay.
typically some type of like heat application
Okay,
of
right,
what we
right.
were doing.
Totally get it. I was just
And
curious. Like, I know you have an embroidery background too. I didn't know if you were rolling in a single head and they're going to just turn it on and say, okay, what initials are we going to put on this
yeah,
bandana?
yeah, no, we never got to that to extent of it, but we certainly could. And we're very nimble and flexible companies. Like if that's what the customer needs, we can figure out a way to make it happen. Where we've gotten a little hesitant on some of that is like the logistics of pulling these things off gets much more difficult,
For sure.
especially at what our customer base now is nationwide, almost worldwide, in some extent. So, like to get equipment from one part of the country
Right.
to the
Yeah.
other becomes a lot harder
Yeah.
because you just start to run out of. It's not like I can just throw it in the trunk of my car and then just drive there. When we have to, if we're flying to from Indiana, we're flying to Arizona to see you.
Right.
Like we're
Come on down, Tom. By the way, spring training just around the
I
corner.
know it's ready.
You guys get out of the cold. You know, it's only going to be about 72 today. It was a little chilly this morning when I got up. So
Yeah.
that's not fair. I should have never have said that. All of us,
No,
I'm going to
it's
get so much
a lot.
hate mail this mid-July and August. Yeah, how do you like it now? Well, that's so cool that you guys were early pioneers, and I figured you were. I've had discussions with some of the, your team, and it felt like this was a natural. So let's keep going on that just for a second. So you've been doing it for a while, whether you call it a hat bar or a t-shirt bar or whatever. Are your clients asking for it, or is your sales team proposing it, or is there a little bit of both?
It's a little bit of both. Matter of fact, we just had it was a local event where the customer asked for it and was like, all right, yeah, we can pull something like this off. Like this is pretty easy for us. It was a hat bar and we just wanted to put different patches on the hats. And we have heat
Mhm.
presses and we have the personnel to man a station like that. When and then I think where we see the most success though is it goes back to that sales process is we're uncovering of the experience that the customer is trying to create, and now I can offer this as another solution that
Right.
can just elevate what they may or may not be thinking at that point is
No,
like
I love it, and I love that word.
here's
I love
something more that we can do is like have you thought about
it. Hmm.
doing if you wanted to do koozies and pass those out, it's like what if we customized them for everyone on site? How would that change
Let
their
me tell you, I'm a fan. I get just pumped up, geeked up, jacked up because to me, what it does is it does something fresh, new, and original. So to me, even though if it was 15 years ago or 15 days ago, the emotional connection that's made when somebody sees that koozie, and I've done koozies, hats, t-shirts, tote bags, socks, journal books, flasks, whether it's a laser engraved embroidery, heat press with a patch, or some form or version of that, or all of the above. It's this emotionalness. I don't know if that's just a dumb word I made up, but the emotionality, the connection, it changes the dynamic, Tom. It moves it
totally does.
from I need promotional products to man, that was a good time. I'm so glad that we did that kind of a feel.
Yeah.
Is that
And
your take? Are
and
you
the
seeing that, or
it's
am I
the
just drinking my
there's
own
like
Kool-Aid over here?
this anticipation of I'm going to get something that's special to me, that's
Yes, there it
only
is. There it
unique
is.
to me. And people are waiting. I mean, people will wait in line at a conference just to get that.
And they get to be the co-collaborator or the co-creator. Theirs is theirs. They made it. So they got to pick their color of t-shirt or hat. They got to pick their patch. They got to place it where they wanted it. And so they're kind of this co-creator moment where, listen, I can't tell you how many times, oh, I remember I screen printed a t-shirt in college once, so
Yeah,
now you have this
yeah, yeah,
whole nostalgic pull and now you're creating these touch points that are real and memorable, and I think there's some magic there. So
yeah,
whether we have fresh cool names for this experience now, I still think this is going to run for a few more years. What do you think?
yeah. I think so too, and I think that because you can just continue to make them more and more unique. They will eventually they will get played out, but I think it will can I think there will always be a home for it
Yeah.
because there's just so much that you can do. I mean, from sunglasses to
Mhm.
to to skis. Like
Oh
you
yeah.
can figure out a way to do it on anything. And as the technology continues to evolve, and the more things that we can embellish, and the types of materials that we're using, like there's always going to be some unique weird thing. Like whether it's golf balls or golf gloves at a golf outing. Like
Correct.
there's going
No,
to be a way
totally
that we
true.
can find a way to make it work. We
Totally
just
true.
have to be creative and smart enough to figure it out.
That's the thing I want to end on is the creativity side of this. I'm gonna throw a scenario out that I know has happened. So I've had this conversation with a few people, and they've had their versions of this. So if this is new to you, take it, steal it, run with it. R&D, rip off and duplicate. But if it's not new, um, at a golf tournament, you often see, where someone will sponsor the tee hole. The hole is
Mhm.
number 9, and Thumbprint is the sponsor. And here's your little sign. Here's your little pop-up tent. So one of the friends I know created a hat bar at one of those events on site, so that between the ninth and 10th hole, they could take a little bit more time and customize a hat. And they were doing it for their client, but their client had all of their clients, right? So it was an experience for the end customers.
Uh-huh.
And so from that experience, there was a massive emotional ROI, but there was also a big loyalty play. And at the end of the day, he told me, Jay, I came out of there with 12 marketing directors' cards who all want to now have a hat bar at their golf tournament.
Yes, that's awesome. Yep.
So I mean that's like Christmas, right? That's like holidays came and boom, right? And that's not going to happen every time. But if you had any of those experiences where you get the emotional ROI, you get the creativity side, but you also get the financial ROI because now it's led to more business. Maybe, maybe not. What do you say?
Yes, yes, absolutely. And I think what's important to me too is like we're elevating our industry.
Mm,
And we get kind of grouped into the trash and trinket, and we're just like, oh, it's just a throwaway item. But when we do experiences like this, what we're actually doing is adding value to these free things that these people are going to give you anyway. Right
yeah,
now, it has actual value, and it's special, and it means something,
I
and
love
it,
that.
it completely changes the persona of how we are perceived as a promotional product industry. And that's is honestly really important to me. Is like I want us to be seen for what we really are and what we really can do, rather than just what we have been known for in the past.
I love that. Tom Rector, CEO of Thumbprint. Let's end it right there. That was the mic drop moment. The taco drop moment just happened. My friend, thank you for sharing today. And for those of anybody listening, besides my family and friends who want to reach out and visit with you, where are you most available? Where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn. It's just Tom Rector, Thumbprint, or shoot me an email, tom@thumbprint.com.
Love it. Thank you, Tom. Appreciate your insights today. They were awesome, tasty.
Love it. Thanks, Jay.